Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Black Adam in DC and Warner Brothers movie Black Adam. Um, Going into this film, I gotta say, full disclosure, I'm not the biggest fan of the DCEU. I'm not the biggest fan of the Snyderverse or anything within that continuity. I thought Man of Steel was okay. Wonder Woman was okay. And then we got to Batman versus Superman, and I was supremely disappointed with that. And I stopped watching anything else after that. So I haven't seen Aquaman. I haven't seen Wonder Woman 1984. I'm not even seen Shazam. So I think that in particular is quite important going into this movie, since Black Adam does have connections to Shazam. So full disclosure, want to put that out there. I really don't care for the DCEU. But that being said, if you guys have watched my other streams, you know I'm a big fan of DC comics in general. In fact, I like the DC universe more than I do the Marvel universe when it comes to the comics and the video games and the overall franchises of Marvel and DC outside of their respective cinematic universes. I'm more of a fan of DC. That's what I grew up with. I grew up with the the Bruce Timm television animated universe of DC. Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited. So overall, I'm a bigger fan of DC. That being said, I've not been the biggest fan of the Snyderverse or the DCEU, but I decided I would go see this film. I decided mainly because of The Rock. All right, I'm a big fan of The Rock when it comes to his movies, when it comes to his roles. And I know that this role in particular, Black Adam, is a role that The Rock has really been wanting to play for quite some time. I mean, he's been advocating for a while that if they ever do a Black Adam movie, he wants to play Black Adam. And he finally got his wish. So the question is, does The Rock stand out in this role? Is this the as much as he's hyped up his desire to play this role, does the overall product of Black Adam come out to be quite enjoyable, come out to be a good movie? Does the character really stand out? That's the question we're here to answer. So I saw this film earlier today, and going into it, I had watched some of the non-spoiler reviews. I had seen what some of the critics had to say, and the critics are really hammering this film like crazy. I mean, they're pretty against this movie. I don't understand why. So before we actually get into going into my thoughts on the movie, let me go ahead and say that the first part of this stream is going to be a non-spoiler review. And then once we get, around the 10-minute mark or so, we're going to get into the spoiler section. So, again, once we get to that part, if you haven't seen the movie yet, that's your time to dip out. And I'll have time codes down in the description box below for when this stream is finished and goes up on YouTube. So going into this movie, the critics were really hounding it. They were saying it wasn't very good at all. And again, I was avoiding spoilers, but I was checking out the non-spoiler reviews. So I didn't really particularly have much hope for the film either, just because I don't have an interest in the DCEU. I've been so disappointed by what Warner Brothers and DC Comics has done. So I really didn't have much hope going into it. But from what I saw in the trailers, it looked like it could be maybe a fun popcorn movie. And pretty much, yeah, that's what it is. It is a really fun popcorn movie. And coming out of the movie, I don't understand why there's so much hate for this film. Is it a groundbreaking superhero movie on the same level as the first Avengers movie or The Dark Knight? No, it's not. All right. It is an action fest. Okay. Um, and it does, I mean, it does that really, really well. Like, if you want to see The Rock as Black Adam destroy shit, mess people up, you're going to get that from this movie. All right. This movie is jam packed with rock action goodness. All right. You're going to get that in this film. If that's what you're looking for, you're going to get it. And it's a fun movie. And that's the thing. It's not groundbreaking. It's not, I don't think it's going to turn the tide as far as my opinion on the DC EU as a whole and the Snyderverse, but it's a fun movie. I mean, it's a really, really fun movie. And I would say it's probably my favorite comic book movie of the year. I was really disappointed with Doctor Strange. I thought that movie was a mess. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The further I get away from that movie, the more time passes, the more that I really don't like that film. Thor Love and Thunder, I felt, was the comedic side of the MCU taken up to 25, not even 11, 25. And they just really overdid it. And it's just gotten to the point of annoyance. Wasn't a big fan of that. Morbius, I didn't even go see Morbius. I knew that movie was going to be shit. And it was. But this movie is hands down the best comic book movie I've seen all year. Now, given what I just said about its competition that has come beforehand, that's not saying much, but it's one of the more enjoyable comic book movies I've seen in a while. Of course, outside of Spider-Man No Way Home, which was an absolute masterpiece of a film, as far as comic book movies go. But this was a really fun ride. I found myself enjoying every second of it. I found myself enjoying The Rock's performance. It's an action fest. And if you're into that type of thing, you're going to love it. Now, the story's not really all that deep. There are some really good moments in this movie that really do stir with the emotions. But they're not the main focus. There's a few good moments of depth, but there's just sprinkled in over a huge ice cream bowl of action and violence. And it's really, really fun to watch The Rock wreck shit. I mean, it really is. He's going around and he's just killing people willy-nilly. He was talking about how Black Adam is kind of like a darker Superman that actually kills people, even though the Superman in this continuity did kill Zod and, whatever. It is fun to watch him just go ham on the bad guys and to be like, no, screw you, zap here, zap there, disintegrate you here. It's fun. All right. It's a fun popcorn movie and I really enjoyed it. Okay. That being said, I think probably one of my biggest criticisms of the movie is, number one, they do go the anti-hero route with Black Adam. I know some people, especially fans of like the older comic books, will probably remember Black Adam as more of a straight up villain. The whole anti-hero angle on Black Adam is really something that's been introduced in more modern comics. That being said, I do like that angle if it's done well, and I do think it's done really well in this movie. Yes, Black Adam is more of an anti-hero. He has his own morality, his own code of honor. He's not Superman. He does his own thing, but he's not a bad guy either. He's more of a guardian, more of a protector who's willing to do whatever it takes to defeat the bad guys. You know what I mean? So, they do go the more anti-hero route. Some people might not like that if they're fans of the older comics. I do like that angle for Black Adam, and I think The Rock sells it really, really well. But what I did have a problem with is that given this particular continuity and how, there's so much controversy about Black Adam killing the bad guys and stuff, and they make that into such a big deal in this movie. You have to remember, this is in the same continuity as the Ben Affleck Batman who killed criminals, the Superman that killed Zod, and, that example is not, really a good example given the situation he was in. But the point is, this whole idea that heroes don't kill in this universe, it falls a bit flat. Yeah, I think it does fall a little bit flat. I like this movie, but I just don't like its relationship to the rest of this universe. And that's not a fault of this movie in particular. I don't want to blame this movie for that. That's more so a fault of the Snyderverse and the DCEU continuity as it currently stands in general. So I'm more so putting the blame on that than I am this movie. You get what I'm saying? So it's not without its flaws. But overall, it is a really fun movie. If I was to give it a score, you know what? I'd probably give it 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. Uh, Probably a 7.5. I hesitate to give it an 8, and that's just really because of all the other stuff connected to it within the Snyderverse. But it's a good movie. You're going to, if you want a good popcorn action flick, you're going to enjoy it. All right. I've heard some of the criticisms say that, this movie, it feels dated. It feels like an older early 2000s superhero film. Is that a bad thing? Because early 2000s superhero films, we got stuff like the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, which is fantastic. So is that really a bad thing? I don't think so. But yeah, I enjoyed it, but go see it for yourself. Would I recommend you seeing this? Yes. Even if you're not a fan of the Snyderverse or the DCEU, I would still recommend that you go see this movie. I think it's going to be a fun ride for you, for anybody, to be honest with you. If you like action, you like The Rock, you want to see him, you want to see him mess people up, go check it out. It's going to be a fun ride. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the spoiler section of this review. So if you haven't seen the movie and you plan on seeing the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your opportunity to get out, because in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are diving into spoilers. Okay, so Black Adam, the origin of Black Adam in this movie does stem from more modern comics, where he is presented more as an anti-hero. He does get his powers. Originally, his son actually gets the powers from the wizards that gave Shazam his powers as well. So his son, back in ancient times, and Kondak got these powers, and he was supposed to be this hero. And then his dad, who is The Rock, he got injured. He was mortally injured. He was going to die. So his son ended up transferring the powers over to him so he could live. But when that happened, this evil king that was ruling the country at the time, he killed The Rock's son right in front of him. And so The Rock, instead of being a hero and fighting for justice, decided to go on a revenge quest, and actually end up seriously damaging his country, his kingdom, in the process as well. So because of that, the wizards gathered together, and they actually sealed up The Rock's Black Adam, and they trapped him inside of this mountain temple. And there's this whole thing with this crown that was able to summon the powers of hell. And they sealed the crown in that temple with him so that no one would be able to use it. The king was going to use the evil ancient king was going to use the crown to become this demonic entity known as Sebek. And that's the origin of Black Adam. So in the modern day, Kondak is being it's being occupied by this military group that has come in. They're searching for the crown. They're trying to get it. Turns out that they're actually being led by the descendant of this evil ancient king. I can't remember the side characters' names, I'll be honest with you. I think the kid is named Amon, if I'm not mistaken. But they, they're like searching, like this kid and his mom and his uncle are searching for this crown to hide it away so that this military group won't be able to use it. The military group ambushes them, and the mom summons Black Adam, releases him from his prison. And so here he is, he's hesitant to really use his powers. He's hesitant, or not hesitant to use his powers, but he's hesitant, to be this hero and this guardian that, the people of Kahndaq in the modern day think that he is. So it's really him going from being this, what he perceives himself to be a villain to becoming this guardian of Kahndaq in the modern day. It's him becoming the hero, not the hero, the guardian, the protector, the Dark Knight, not to be confused with Batman, that his son always believed he could be. And that's what he ends up becoming. And so, he ends up having this journey, and it's nice. It's really, really nice. It's a very basic story, and there's not really too much to the story. It's a very simple story, but it's Black Adam becoming this guardian, becoming this protector. He's still an anti-hero. He still has his own moral code. He's still killing the bad guys. And that does put him into conflict with the Justice Society, not to be confused with the Justice League, consisting of Dr. Fate, of Hawkman, of Atom Smasher, and this one girl that honest to God, her name escapes me. Not familiar with her, to be honest with you. I'm not familiar with her, even from the comics. I was sitting there the whole movie and I was like, who is this? Now, to be fair, I'm not all that familiar with Atom Smasher either, but I at least recognize the name. But yeah, I was like, who is this girl? Like, I don't remember her from the comics. Obviously, Hawkman, Dr. Fate, they're like big names in the DC comics. And they really do take most of the focus. They when it comes to the Justice Society members, they really are like the two big standouts. So Amanda Waller, she's wary of Black Adam. She's wary of what he's capable of. She believes him to be nothing but a weapon of mass destruction because he did end up seriously damaging Kahndaq in the ancient past. And so she sends in the Justice Society to try and apprehend him. This leads to a conflict between them. But of course, when the descendant of the evil king, I think this dude's name is Ishmael, if I'm not mistaken, he ends up, finally getting hold of the crown. He goes to the underworld. He goes to hell. He comes back with the powers of hell. He becomes this demon Sabbac. So you have Black Adam and you have the Justice Society, and they have to team up to take this guy down. At the end of the day, Black Adam does get his freedom to a certain extent. He is contacted by Amanda Waller in the post-credit scene, and she tells him, she's like, okay, listen, you're not a bad guy. You're not a villain. Again, he's an anti-hero. And Amanda Waller's like, okay, you know what? We're going to let you stay free, but you're limited to the borders of Kahndaq. So you can't go outside of your own kingdom. You can be the hero of Kahndaq, but outside of that, you don't step a foot outside of Kahndaq. And, Black Adam's like, nah, screw you. All right. Screw you, Amanda. He's like, there's no one on this planet who can take me down. And then, of course, that leads into what was rumored to be happening for a very long time, for at least a couple of months now, if not longer. And that is the post-credit scene where Henry Cavill's Superman shows up. Yes, that is in the film. That's probably like the worst kept secret on the internet for the last couple of weeks. Yes, Henry Cavill does make a cameo in a post-credit scene. He shows up to talk to Black Adam, and he's like, hey, Black Adam, let's have a little talk. Because, Black Adam, he's going on this entire time like, there's no one on this planet who can defeat me. And then Amanda's like, well, you know what? I've got ties to people not from this planet. Obviously being our good boy Kal-El. So, yes, Henry Cavill's Superman is in the post-credit scene. That got a big reaction in the theater, and understandably so. I love Henry Cavill's Superman. I don't like this continuity overall, but I like Henry Cavill's Superman, all right? And if they do reboot this continuity, I want him to be the Superman we have in the new continuity. I would like The Rock to be Black Adam in the new continuity because I think he's a really good Black Adam. I can see why he wanted this role so bad. He's really, really good in it. So I was very pleased about that. Dr. Fate, I did think it was a little bit odd, did die in this movie. I did like Hawkman and I like Doctor Fate both in this movie. I don't know who the actors are playing them off the top of my head, but they're really, really good. Especially the actor for Doctor Fate, I thought was fantastic. He does end up dying, sacrificing himself to save Hawkman from Sebek. And also Sebek, I think is a really cool design. He's basically Satan. I mean, like the typical idea that you have when you think of Satan, the red muscular guy with the two horns on his head. Even I think he even had a beard, if I'm not mistaken, a goatee. Like the typical image you have of Satan, that's what Sebek looked like. He even had like almost like a pentagram shape on his chest, burned into his chest. I think he looks pretty cool. And I did like the final battle. This movie is really, really fun, has a lot of great action scenes. Looking at this movie in a vacuum, I don't have any serious issues about it. Also, something else I really appreciated, there was zero woke bullshit in this movie. Thank God. There was none. Zero woke bullshit. No artificial diversity. No. Well, that's the thing. There's diversity in this movie, but it's not artificial. It doesn't feel like someone just went through it and was like checking their box, like, well, we have to have this demographic, that demographic, this group, that group. No, you had diversity in this film. Obviously, The Rock. Hawkman was played by a black actor. You had white characters, you had women, you had all sorts of diversity in this. But it didn't feel artificial. Like it didn't feel corporate. It didn't feel like somebody at WB was just going through a checklist. It just felt like, no, these are the right actors for this particular role. They fit the role, so they get the job. And it's like, yes, thank you. That's good. I like this. That was really, really good. So I was very happy to see that. No agenda, no woke nonsense, and something I was very, very happy about coming out of this movie. There is no emasculation of any of the male characters. The Rock is very masculine, doing masculine things like you would expect from the character of Black Adam. You're letting The Rock do what he does, and that is kick bad guy ass. Hawkman, no emasculation, very masculine character, kicking bad guy ass. Dr. Fate, no emasculation, very masculine character, kicking ass. None of them were shown up. It was really, really good. All right. And you had a strong female character as well. You had two strong female characters as well. So it was good. Like it felt like a good old-fashioned superhero movie. And that's all I'm asking for. In a vacuum, it's great. All right. And if this is the type of tone, if this is the type of direction that Zaslav wants to go into, I'm very happy about that. Now, something I do want to point out when it comes to the critic ratings and stuff for this movie, don't buy them. I honest to God believe they're politically motivated. You guys know that there's a lot of people on the political left that really don't like Zaslav, really don't like the statements he's made, really don't like the direction that he's taking DC films into. And I think that they were honestly undermining the reviews in order to try and mitigate people from seeing this movie, to try and lower expectations and to try and make this movie look bad. Guys, don't believe the political BS. It's not true. This is a fun movie. It's not groundbreaking. It's not The Dark Knight. It's not the first Avengers, but it's fun. It's really, really fun. If you want a good classic action-filled superhero movie, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. In a vacuum, it's great. That being said, given the universe it's connected to, I just wish it wasn't tied into the DCEU. Obviously, the Amanda Waller in this movie is the Viola Davis Amanda Waller, which obviously connects it into the larger Snyderverse. It's the Henry Cavill Superman. Again, Snyderverse. Given everything going on with Ezra Miller and The Flash, given how disappointing the DCEU has been up to this point, I think a reboot is still necessary. I don't like that this film is tied into that continuity, because if it gets rebooted, that means that this film gets stricken from canon pretty much. Now, you can still bring back The Rock to be Black Adam in a new continuity. Same goes for Henry Cavill as Superman in a new continuity. But I wish they would have just come out and said, hey, you know what? We're scrapping the Snyder stuff. We're scrapping the DCU continuity. And this is going to be the first film in a rebooted continuity. I would have loved for that to have been the case. Like, have Black Adam start off a brand new DC cinematic universe. But that's not what we got. So I am apprehensive about that. Now, do I think this film was good enough to redeem the entirety of the Snyderverse and the entirety of the DCU up to this point? No, I don't. I still think it needs to be rebooted for the overall future of these movies. But in a vacuum, watching this movie by itself, it's a really fun movie. All right. It's a really fun ride. I enjoyed it. I think you will too. Go check it out. Yeah, I recommend this movie for anybody. I recommend this movie. I enjoyed it, had a lot of fun with it. Don't buy the criticisms. Go see it for yourself. Don't think you're getting a Dark Knight level film. Not every superhero movie has to be the Dark Knight. Come on, people. Not every superhero movie has to be the Avengers. Just go in and have fun with it. All right? You'll enjoy it. This is what superhero movies should be. Entertaining and fun. And that's what you're going to get from this film. So I enjoyed it. Again, I'd probably get a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. Yeah, somewhere in that range. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. I think you'll enjoy it. I had fun with it. And this is coming from somebody that's not been a big fan of the DC cinematic films in recent years. But yeah, go check it out. Oh, I almost forgot. The Batman came out this year too, didn't it? I think The Batman is a better film. Let me say that. I do think The Batman is a better film, objectively. But I'll be honest with you, I think I had more fun watching Black Adam. I think this is a more entertaining film than The Batman. Again, The Batman's not a bad film. It's a good film. But it was a little bit too dark for my taste, and I in a certain way that didn't really appeal to me personally. And I think I find Black Adam to be the more entertaining of the two, and I just had more fun watching it. So, yeah. Anyways, like I said, it's a fun film. It's a good old-fashioned superhero movie with lots of action, lots of fun, very entertaining. The Rock is great as Black Adam. The Henry Cavill Superman, even though I don't like the continuity that these films exist in, I like Henry Cavill as Superman. Seeing him show up brought a smile to my face, dressed up in that suit. So I enjoyed it. But yeah, go check out the movie for yourself. It's a fun film. I think you guys will enjoy it. And that's pretty much it. I don't really have much to say about it. Again, the story is not super, super deep, but it's again, I can't help but say it again. It's a fun movie. Like, that's the final verdict. It's a very fun movie. Go check it out and judge it for yourself. But I think that's going to wrap it up here. Black Adam was a fun ride. Definitely enjoyed it. Glad I bought a ticket to see it. Glad I went to watch it. But yeah, go check it out for yourself. That being said, if you're into gaming, if you're into gaming, check out my second channel down in the description box below. If you're into comic books, if you're into comic book movies, if you're into Star Wars, anime, stuff like that, then subscribe to this channel. And of course, click the bell for notifications, click the like button, all that good stuff. But that being said, I think that's going to wrap up this review. Tell me what you guys thought about Black Adam if you've seen it. Did you enjoy it? What do you think about it? How do you think it compares to the other superhero movies we've gotten this year? I'm very interested in seeing people's thoughts on that. As well, I would also like to know, how do you think this movie compares to other films in the Snyderverse continuity? And if you're not a fan of the Snyderverse continuity and the DCEU up to this point in particular, did you like this film regardless? Very curious to get people's thoughts on that. All right. So yeah, it's a fun ride. Go check out Black Adam. It gets my thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for me. Gets my recommendation. That being said, that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, like I said before, subscribe, click the like button, click the bell for notifications for more content like this. Check out my gaming channel. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Jesker James with a Z. And yeah, I'm signing off.